Chapter 4. Deny Yourself. Subtitle: Personal Liberties. The writings of Paul reveal to us that denying ourselves not only includes our glory and our rights, but even goes as far as our own personal liberties. For you, brethren, have been called to liberty, only do not use liberty as an opportunity for the flesh, but through love serve one another. Galatians 5:13. Let us look at the following example in Paul's letter to Corinth. Many of the local butchers in the Roman culture were supplied from the sacrifices of the pagan temples. In fact, much of the meat for any particular city would have been slain in a temple prior to being hauled to the butcher. This troubled some Christians during Paul's time, who felt that they would be partaking of a sacrifice to an idol if they ate this meat. Paul was completely convinced that he had the personal freedom to eat any meat, as long as he avoided asking questions about its origin. Eat whatever is sold in the meat market, asking no questions for conscience sake, for the earth is the Lord's, and all its fullness. 1 Corinthians 10:25 and 26. Did Paul have the personal liberty to eat this meat, regardless of where it was killed? Yes, but a disciple is even willing to deny personal liberty. Therefore, if food makes my brother stumble, I will never again eat meat, lest I make my brother stumble. 1 Corinthians 8:13. So, whether it be glory, rights, or liberties, we have been called by Jesus to deny ourselves and follow Him. This is the path of biblical discipleship, and according to Christ, a life choice we must make if we are going to grow in Him. Let me end with a modern example. Consider the story of Richard Wurmbrand, a pastor in Romania during the communist regime who was persecuted and imprisoned for 14 years due to his faith. One day, as his Christian cellmate was singing praises to God, he was caught by the guards and received the strict punishment of standing in the snow overnight, just outside the window of the cell he and Richard had been sharing. There was now a barred window separating the two Christians, one in the snow and the other in the cell. Richard was looking on with compassion at his friend, who was shivering in the exposed cold. His roommate's clothes were tattered and worn, and the only protection from the harsh blowing wind was a thin, long-sleeved shirt. Richard could see that the freezing cold was brutal to his skin, and it wasn't long before he made a personal decision that could cost him his own life. Although it was extremely cold inside the cell where Richard was standing, he had greater concern for his brother than himself. He had recently been given a sweater to wear during his cold winter in prison, so when the guards were not looking, he took off his warm sweater and shoved it through the bars to his friend outside. The guards would surely punish him for what he had done, but he was willing to take that chance. Not only did Richard risk punishment, but he also sacrificed his own warmth for another. Later, this brother in Christ shared how the warmth of Richard's personal sacrifice helped him survive more than the sweater itself. Richard Wurmbrand chose to deny himself, and this sacrificial act of love sustained his friend's body and soul from death through that long night. This is the same Richard Wurmbrand whom God later raised up to found the organization Voice of the Martyrs, which is still aiding hundreds of thousands of suffering believers across the world today. Then Jesus said to his disciples, "If anyone desires to come after me, let him deny himself and take up his cross and follow me." Matthew 16:24.
Thank you for listening to the audio version of His Final Words, a discipleship manual by Travis Hunt. This audiobook will continue in the following videos.